Well, happy Friday, everybody. It's Teresa Crane with Jeremiah Dreams. And I am very thankful to be here with you guys tonight, ready for a night of just painting. Let me make sure I've got my phone turned down, my phone turned off, as far as allowing it to ring and all that. So I hope you guys have had a wonderful day, wonderful week, ready for a great weekend. I know I am ready. I got home a little earlier today, got groceries, and came on home. Well, hey, Casey, how are you? Oh, so funny. Hello, Tracy, how are you? I am so glad to see both of you this evening. I came home this afternoon and started a major purge of closet and junk and stuff and just can't take it anymore. Got to clean them out. Hey, Miss Judy, how are you? I hope you've had a great day as well. Hi, Winifred. I'm glad to see you tonight. You guys, I am ready to do some more painting on this chapel. I've been thinking about it. I can't get it off my mind. Let me share my screen with you. Here we go. Look, remember what we did the other night with the stained glass windows? Oh, honey, Casey, I'm telling you, I am long overdue on cleaning out closets. And I've already told my kids I will be sending you pictures and that you have got to say yes or no if you want it. If you do, I'll put it back. If not, it's probably going in a yard sale or going to Goodwill or going in the trash. And even after the yard sale, if it doesn't sell, it's going to charity. I can't do it anymore. It's got to happen. It's got to get cleaned out. So, oh, thank you so much. A lot of people, Casey, talk about how they like the split screen. And I think with the type of things that I do, it's very helpful. So you guys can see up close and personal the things that are going on. And I just like this. And I can thank Melanie Ferguson, who was my business coach, for teaching me that probably StreamYard is the way that I should go with my niche as far as painting and letting you guys in on my tips and tricks and just kind of what I do. So I'm loving it. Thank you for noticing that, Casey. I greatly appreciate it. And I've got to catch up with you too because I've got some updates for you. So I'll be texting you this weekend. Um, so why don't we dive right in? Because you guys, I have some ideas. The other night we did the stained glass windows. I want to do a little bit more work on those and put in those dark separating veins that you see in between all the colors. That just is going to make those colors pop even more. So I have a palette ready to go, and I was working on a tutorial earlier for my paint and create group, and I've still got some colors left over from that. Nothing exciting, just regular red mixed with grays and whites and black going on. So I'm just going to go ahead and use some of these colors. I'm going to get I've put some water on my brush. I'm going to get a little bit of black and thin it down. But I'm going to combine a little bit of gray with it because I don't want black and I don't want just gray. I really want a dark gray. So I'm going to scoop over some more black and kind of mix this up. But I'm going to thin it down quite a bit because when I want to be able to get a really fine point with my brush. Really, really fine point. See that round brush? Well, hey, Chicky. What does my shirt say? Let's see. It says, what does that first word say? Living on hand sanitizer and prayer. my cousin, um, my cousin had given me this shirt. She had ordered one for herself, and so yeah. Well, I got home this afternoon. I've been cleaning out closets, so I haven't changed. I'm still wearing a t-shirt from doing some of that deep cleaning stuff. So please forgive me for being a little more casual tonight, but how true is that? We've been living on hand sanitizer and prayer, right? So funny. Okay, look, I have a really dark gray going on, and I'm going to twirl the excess off my brush and get a really fine point going on with my brush because that's what I'm going to do to go in between these colors on this stained glass window. And when you add a dark color like this gray, it makes those colors pop even more. So I hope you guys can see up close and personal enough. And I'm going to just kind of fine tune this right here. Get a nice even line going. So have you guys had a good day? Oh, thank you, Winifred. I tell you, I am glad it is Friday. And tomorrow I've got plans to work on this closet clean out thing some more. Oops, see, my brush got away from me, and that happens sometimes. It's okay. We just smooth it out. We make up for it. Just even out the lines. It's nothing to stress over. Just want to preface that by saying it happens to me as well, and especially when you're working such fine detail. But look how you can already see. Let me see if I can hold this up. You can see a little bit better. Look how that dark is already separating and making those colors pop. Hey, Shar, how are you? Thank you so much, my friend. I hope you're feeling better. I've been thinking about you. I hope you're doing well. All right. And I'm thinking about, y'all, this is just how my brain works. So I've already kind of been thinking now with this scene that I've got in mind for this piece, what would I do different on the next one in the series of chapels? And I envision something patriotic with the chapel, sort of to speak to the season that it may be in. Like this one, I'm planning on putting some dogwood trees in this scene. So it's going to speak spring. There, look. So this is a really good time to see the difference between the two windows. Look at that. One with the veins and one without. Look at the difference. Isn't that cool? I just love it. Well, hey, Christine, how are you? Oh, you're so welcome, Miss Shar. I tell you, you got a lot of people who love you and are praying for you. So, you guys, if you ever want to catch me on YouTube, I'm on YouTube as well. So, check me out there and subscribe to my channel. And I believe I'm popping over in Craft Around the Clock right now, too. I had to guess. And I want to encourage you guys to frequent that page also and catch all the other crafters in the country who have some amazing ideas, you guys. So much talent when it comes to the world of crafting and making. Oops, I got my finger in some black, so I'm going to have to take a little bit of yellow and fix that. I should have dried it, y'all. But this is a great lesson on how you correct mistakes. So it's not a big deal. We're going to fix that baby and you'll never know. It's just a little bit of touch up is all it needs. Just to show you, I am far from perfect. And the secret is be a problem solver and figure out how to fix it. There we go. There's that. Okay, let me get some yellow real quick. And let me fix this before we get too far down the road. Hey, Rena, how are you? I'm glad to see you. Casey says she loves this time of year and the freshness represented by the resurrection. Amen to that. Amen. Janet says cleaning back porch from the winter accumulation of stuff that needs to go to the barn. That is an excellent, excellent thing to do. Yes, ma'am. Okay, let me get my yellow. And this is just a really bright yellow. It is a gloss, which I love for these stained glass windows because it reflects the light and gives it an extra shine that makes you think about windows. But this is called Dandelion Yellow. And I'm just going to get just a tiny bit out just to help me touch up that little place and take care of that little thing right there. And I need a little bit more paper towel. This is a 16 by 20 canvas, so it is taking up the majority of my workspace. So I don't have as much room for all the things. Of course, I can move my water. That would help. All right. Get a little bit of this yellow. And I'm just going to touch this up, and you'll never know we had a little accident there. Let me go ahead and dry that. Let me apply just a little bit more just to make sure that is nice and covered and taken care of. And I believe that's going to do it right there. Get a little bit of black on my brush, or this dark gray, I should say. Because I see one little spot I want to fix. Right there. All right. Christine says, if we were perfect, life would not be fun. Isn't that the truth? That's a load of truth right there. Okay. Sometimes I have to I'm going to have to let this sit a little bit, only because I got to think about it some more before I start diving into the tiles or the shingles on the roof. I want to do some definition work up here in the steeple area just to help these layers stand out. I probably will be putting a cross on the door. I even thought putting a little, I don't know what you call it, a little covering, so to speak, right through here just for that door. I thought about a little bit of foundation right through here. But until I settle on that, I really want to work on some dogwood trees tonight. I can't hardly stand it. I've got it on my mind and I'm just going to have to do it. So I went to the internet to get some ideas on what do they look like? What are they shaped like? What do the trunks, um, how do they spread? How low to the ground is it before the forks start? There's a lot of questions in my mind of how do I make a dogwood tree look like a dogwood tree and not just a brown stick with pink something's coming out of it. So that's my goal. So I am going to get a new palette, and let me get on this palette. Let me slide this out of the way a little bit because I don't want to mess up anything else on this pretty little church. Let me get some brown going. I'm going to use a pretty dark brown. This is called dark chocolate. And I'm going to squeeze a little bit of this on my palette. Okay. I'm going to use a very soft pink. Let's see. And even this pink, this is sort of a bright, it's called vivid pink. I'm going to be diluting it down with white quite a bit to get that really soft color. But in all honesty, there are many shades of these colors in the trees, depending on how light and shadow interact with them. Casey, I have never been on the Dogwood Trail, but there is a neighbor of mine that has a dogwood tree that has both white and pink blooms in it. And I want to put one of those trees in this piece. I think about her often. Every time I drive by their house to go to church in the spring, I see that gorgeous tree. And I don't know if they took a pink tree and a white tree and put them in the same hole and just let them grow together. I don't know, but I just love that tree. Let me go ahead and get some white on here. I need to go to the Dogwood Trail though. I really should. And I'm going to go ahead and squeeze some of this very, very light tan. This is actually called khaki, or desert sand is another color I use quite often. And I like using this color. I got something on my palette. Just for placement, just to kind of sketch out where I want things to be. And it's a light enough color, so if I change my mind, it's not a big deal to cover it up. Rena says, I used to take photos of trees in the winter so I could have a reference to the trunks and limb shapes. That was before the internet. That's an excellent idea, though. So, my Paint and Create group, that's going to be opening up at the end of the month. One of the things that made me think about this, one of the exercises that we're going to do for those of you who are in my Paint and Create group and you're here right now, one of the exercises we're going to be doing this next month is taking images from two different photos and merging them together to make something unique. And that's going to be interesting. So I'm excited about that. Things like that just really, really excite me. I'll show y'all something. I think I may have shared this with y'all before. I keep looking at this. I need to finish because I love it. This is one of the exercises we did in my Paint and Create group. And these are the kinds of things that you learn when you hang out with me. So I wanted to share this with you because I think it's so pretty and it's not finished. I've got to finish it. I intend on finishing it, but I wanted to share that with you. Just a little hint. And I'll show you this. I'm doing a tutorial for my Paint and Create group for this right here, and it's not finished yet. But this is a birdhouse that's going to be in a tree, and you can kind of see the silhouette of the bird right there. So these are some of the things that we're doing in Paint and Create. So I hope that if you're not in the group right now, you'll think about joining us because we really do have a lot of fun. And I send you everything you need for 2 projects every month, and we have Zoom calls, and we just get to know each other. Oh, girl, I know. I love these flowers. I'm just in love with those. Look at those. And these are the techniques that we're learning on how to do this. And it doesn't matter what stage of painting you're in, you can do it. You can do it. I promise. Okay, so I'm going to take my favorite little round brush that has this very fine tip, the one I've been using. And I'm going to put a little water on here. And I'm going to thin down this khaki because I want to think about where I want to put these dogwood trees. Um, and it's funny that Casey mentioned the dogwood trail because I had in my mind sort of a line of dogwood trees. And I'll show you. These are some pictures, some images I pulled off the internet. And here's a dogwood tree. And I was looking at how this is shaped. Look how low to the ground the trunk is before it begins to branch off. And yes, it's a tree, but it's not like a major trunk in it. And then all these little limbs start taking off, and then you can put in the different colors of blooms, okay? And then I saw this little chapel, and I got this because I'm interested in this little part right here that I'm thinking of putting over the door. That really interests me a lot. A lot of shapes in this little chapel really interest me. The shape of the windows, although I've already got my windows set, but I'm very interested in this. This image I pulled because I wanted to see the height and shape of these regular trees. I'm not settled on if these are going to be in there, but I pulled this just for reference purposes, just in case I decide to put a regular tree in here. I'm just not settled on that yet. But I want to think about this dogwood tree. And for me, they're not real close, but I'm just going to think about some placement here, and I'm going to keep low to the ground with how they're going to be branching off. And I'm just putting in some different varied limbs and just to get an idea of where this is going to be. Now, I've got to remember these are not great big major trees. They are more bushy than tree-like. So I'm just kind of laying in some various little sprigs up through here because I want to think about how large and how wide I want this one to be. So I may just kind of let this be my beginning framework. Let me bring it closer so maybe you can see kind of what I've done there. Just getting a good feel. And I almost feel like it needs like maybe about 3 of them through here. So I'm just kind of doing some placement and nothing definite, just very loose, thinking about where I want them to sit. And you'll notice the horizon here, I've laid in a little bit of a greenish brown area that kind of helps me know where how far back my backdrop is going. Just kind of lay in another one. I feel like there should be 3. Here's an interesting thought. 3 dogwoods. We serve a Trinity. We've got Easter coming. How much more spring can that be? So I think 3 is the answer for how many dogwoods we've got. Very symbolic. All right. I'm feeling that. I'm feeling it. So, hey, Brenda. How are you doing tonight? Thank you for being here. I'm going to pick up some dark brown again with my little round brush here. Thin it out with some water, just enough water on my brush. I'm feeling water on the handle of it. Let me dab some of that off. So I'm going to lay in some darker colors. And I'm not going to do this solid. I'm going to do it as strokes so that we have more of a wood-like effect. And we're just going to lay right on top of this khaki color that we put in here. And I'm going to be really loose with it. Okay. And just kind of hit the places that I've already laid in the khaki. And maybe a couple of extra little sprigs. I'll come over here and do the same. Trying very hard to not have one look like the other, so they each have their own individual little deal going on, little personality. Kind of feeling with some other little sporadic limbs and branches going on. Okay. And then we've got another one right through here. I'm just going to very loosely lay in some branches on this. Okay. So each one has a little bit different look. I'm going to kind of ground the bottoms of this a little bit just because that helps ground them. That's the best word to use. Put a little bit of root on there. Okay. Now then, I'm going to take my flat brush, and I really like this one. I just like the way the bristles are. I've just always been in love with it. Let me get some of this vivid pink. I'm going to pull some of it forward into the middle, and I'm going to get some white and mix it in because I really want to soften this. I like the base of the vivid pink, but it is too vivid, and the way to take care of that is just to mix some white with it. Okay, and I really like that shade right there. It's very, very soft. So what I'm going to do to begin with is I'm just going to chisel in and splotch in this color that's going to give the effect of these blooms. Now, I have to be careful not to get too heavy or hard with it because that will cause the bristles to spread too much, and I want to keep it very airy. See, that started to happen right there, and that's when you know you got to kind of lighten it up again and back off. And I want to keep in mind the shape of the overall tree. Now, what I am going to do is I am going to pick up some of this vivid pink, just a little, and I'm going to touch in some of that so that we don't have just a flat tone in these blooms, that we have some variation in there. Okay. It's going to give it some depth, but I don't want to overload my brush, and I did not clean my brush in between. I'm just going to be very easy and very sporadic. I want to add some more of this darker vivid pink, because here's what I'm thinking. This one will be pink, this one will be white, and this one will be a combo. That's kind of what I'm envisioning. And I don't want this to be too solid because I still want to see the branches in between. There. Can you see it? Maybe that helps. Okay. Let me now, I'm going to go ahead and clean my brush. And I'm going to skip on over here to the white one, the one that I want to be white. And I'm going to lay in those blooms. So I'm just going to be very easy and just build this. And this may be just a little thick through here, so we'll just kind of try to dip it into that. But you know, even in trees, there's going to be sections that are going to be more dense than other places. So I'm not going to stress about that, but I am going to try to pick up that excess paint and work it out through the rest of this little tree. What doesn't work out, we're just going to pretend that it's just more dense right there in the blooms. So occasionally it's good to turn your brush a different direction. That's what I'm doing right now, to get a different angle on it. Baxter, what are you doing? He's right here beside me. My little boy's right here. He's a good boy. I'm just going to go right through here. I want to work on the shape of this. I'm okay with it if it ventures over and touches a little bit with the other tree. Now, because all of this is so white, I need to maybe pick up a little bit of gray, and I've got some gray over here. I'm just going to touch my brush in it, and then I'm gonna. So I picked up. Let me show you. I picked up some gray right here. I'm just going to touch it right there, and I'm going to add some white because I need another color that will speak to some shadow and give it some more interest. So it's not a major gray, but it's going to add depth and just help this not to be so stark white and be more believable in terms of the blooms. Just going to give a good contrast. And it's very important, especially toward the base of all the blooms. I'm just working it in till I feel like it's achieved that depth that I'm looking for, the density I'm looking for. Okay. Hey, Diane. Hi, Teresa. I'm glad you guys are here. Okay, let me see if I can turn this. Y'all, it's a big canvas. So there's the white dogwood. And I might come back and do a little bit more work on that, but I've got a pink one and a white one. Now it's time for the combo. I'm not going to clean my brush. I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of this very soft pink. And I hope I can pull this off to be like the one that's down the road. And I'm just going to lay in some pink. Turn my brush a little bit so I can get some different angle going on. Okay, oh, my nose is itching. Oh, must be having company this weekend. I'm going to go ahead and pick up some of this vivid pink. And I'm going to lay some of that in. And I'm trying to start with my darker colors first and end up with some of the lighter tones. I'm just working it in now. I'm going to pick up some white. Let me work that off. Touch in there, pick that up, spread that, dilute that a little bit. Tell you what, I probably need to wash my brush off because I do want to have some definite, some definite white bloom. So let me dry this real quick. Pull this over to where you guys can see a little better. Okay. Get a good chisel on my flat brush. I'm almost letting this brush bounce on this canvas. I want to build the shape of it a little bit, even around the top. And I'm going to go back and add some more color in there. Baxter, what are you doing? I hear him wrestling down here into something. I'm going to pick up some pink again. I want to add some pink right up through here. You know, pulling off this combo tree is not as easy as I thought it was going to be. Let's see, I probably need to pick up some more vivid pink and just add it in very gently through here. Let's see. Did I pull it off? I think it's a little difficult for you to tell on the camera online, but in person, I can see the varied colors in this middle one. Let me add a little bit more right through here. I'm just going to kind of turn my brush as I bounce it and see how that gives, what effect that gives. You just have to experiment and don't be afraid of it. This is looking a little flat at the top, so I'm just going to work on some of this shape. Okay. It's believable. Yay! Thank you, Chicky. All right. So I'm going to let those sit for a little bit till I get the feeling of what I need to do next to them. So let me turn that around. You can kind of see it that way too, can't you? Okay. I'll clean my brush off. I think what I want to do next is, while I've got some gray on my palette, I'm going to go ahead and put some foundation on our little chapel here. I'm just going to pick up just some gray with my flat brush. And I'm just going to kind of lay in some foundation. I'm just going to dot the line in. And I'm not envisioning a huge foundation, okay? Just something very small. But just so that it doesn't look like it's sitting straight on the ground. Just needs a little bit of something. Okay, I'm going to turn it a little bit so I can get a better angle. I have to prop it up a little bit. I'm just going to work this line in. Turn my brush over. Use the paint that's on the back of that. I'm going to get all the angles to meet up. But I want to maintain my angle right here. So now I'm just pulling down the paint. I'm not too worried about how clean this bottom line is, because chances are I'm going to have some landscaping in there too. I just haven't figured out yet what all of that landscaping is going to be. Just dot that in. I see a little spot right through here I need to add some gray. Okay. Now, the next thing I need to do is I want to take some more of this gray. I've got a very light gray on there for the siding, but I do want to pick up some dark gray, and I want to thin it down. Like, there's my dark gray, y'all. So I'm going to thin this down quite a bit just with water on my brush. Because I want to get a very good flow, and I want it pretty thin so it'll spread so much easier. You can kind of see maybe kind of what I'm talking about there. And I want to get a really good fine point going. I'm going to start right up here, and I just want to go right on top of this light gray. Because we just needed another step of depth in there. And I want it thin because I want to be able to see both tones. I mean, the fibers on the end of this brush are so fine. And you've got to learn the amount of pressure to use as well. This is a very, very light touch. This right here, I want to fix a little bit. It'll be all right though. So y'all gotten quiet. Everybody okay over there? I'm thinking there needs to be some daffodils in here. My my March flowers are really beginning to bloom. I'm just watching. Hi, Shanna. How are you? It's watching a very, like watching a fire, very relaxing. Oh, how funny. Y'all just cracked me up. Diane is from Reno, Nevada. Girl, I didn't see that while ago. That is so cool. I'm just so fascinated with where everyone is watching from. It's just so exciting to me how technology has brought us all together. So the other night we were talking about our favorite artists, and those of you that are new, oh, you're doing great. Your belly's full. um, tell me who your favorite artists are. We were talking about that the other night, and someone mentioned Norman Rockwell, Sam Butcher, who did all the Precious Moments. And I was mentioning Paula Vaughn was one of my favorite artists because all of her pieces involved quilts and sewing, and that was her trademark. Try to get my everything moved around so I can work up here at this upper part. Need a little bit of water. Let me get this thinned down a little bit more. You can tell when it starts to thicken because it doesn't want to flow as well on your brush. Okay. See, when you've got a good consistency and a good chisel, it just flows right off. See the difference when it's a good thin paint? It's almost like using an ink pen. Okay. I do think I need to go ahead and highlight this. And define this. Okay. Now, one thing I want to do before I get too far along, I'm going to pick up some of this gray, light gray and pink. Light gray and pink. Light gray and white over here. I'm actually going to use my flat brush again and get some water on it. And what is the best brush to use for lettering? That all depends. It depends on how thick you want your letters to be. I don't regard myself as an expert on lettering. I would say very much like what we're doing tonight, it's gonna depend on your consistency and how big a space you're covering with your lettering. I would say as long as you have a really good round brush and get your paint at a good consistency, those two elements combined, I think, are going to be what makes the difference. Now, at some point, especially in Paint and Create, we're going to be doing some lettering. It probably won't be for another couple of months before we start the lettering, because right now we're really focusing on creativity and blending colors, creating new colors, and shadowing are kind of the focal points right now. But we will be getting into lettering. And I'm thinking it's probably going to be in a couple of months. We'll start introducing that. Right here, I am laying in some shadow. Okay. I'm going to get the excess off my brush. And I want to pull this down very gently. And I don't want it to be necessarily real even, because sometimes shadow is not. I don't want it to be messy, but I don't want it to be all perfect. Get a little bit of water. Thin this down some more and just pull it in. I'm just working this in until I get a good shadow cast across there. I don't want the whole thing to be so white. But I hope that makes sense. Okay, there's a little spot right there. I need to add a little bit of paint and just dilute it down a little much for my taste. I want to add a little bit of more shadow right through here. Okay. We're not done with this shadow thing. We're just laying in the very Posca brush pen from Blick. There you go. There's a good suggestion. I still say it's going to really depend on how big you want your letters to be and how thin you get your paint. It's going to be a big factor. I'm adding a little more water to my paint because I'm going to go up under this eave. And, you know, just so you know, my brushes are not expensive. I just have never bought real expensive brushes. I'm wanting a good shadow in through here because I feel like this hangover is creating some shadow for me. Okay. There's a couple of little places I don't really like how it shadowed, so I'm just going to touch that up with some white while I'm here. And just kind of work on those edges a little bit. I want to clean some of this up a little bit. Okay. I'm just defining the shadow right through here. And I may trim that down a little bit. I want to just kind of lay it in and see how it feels. Okay, here's kind of where we are. There's our pretty dogwoods. This is kind of where we are with the chapel. Got a little foundation on there and some shadow from the roof. So let me see. Let me try. I'm gonna turn this around. Hang with me a second. Because I want to work on this just a little bit. I'm going to use my round brush. And I'm going to get some of this gray that we've been using. I just want to define this a little. I need to get a good chisel on it though. Okay. Okay. Now, one thing I want to do, I want to take some pure black. I'm going to thin some down. Get all this excess off. All right. I'm going to lay in this pure black right here. Okay. And right there, just very subtly. And right up under here. Right there. I'm going to put some right there. Get that excess off my brush. I'll pick up a little bit more of this thinned black. All right, let's see how this looks. Move all these palettes out of the way. That looks pretty good. Okay, one thing I want to do. Where is it? Oh, there it is. I'm going to get some of this thin black again. I have my fan running and that makes my paint dry out faster. Just to have that air circulating. It gets a little warm in these lights. Get this excess water off. Okay. I want to go right up under here. There we go. There we go. Just add some definition and depth before we get into that shadow area. Okay. I'm just looking at it on camera. If I look at it on camera, it kind of gives me another perspective also of how things are shaping up and looking what needs to be done next. All right, y'all. We've been here right at an hour. I think that's a good night's work right there. What do you think? Let me turn this a little bit. Let me just see if I can put this on there. It may not let me do like I was thinking. think the chapel's looking good. I'm loving my dogwood trees. Yep, I think we're coming along. Thank you, Rena. Thank you. I'm excited. Okay, I'm back. Okay. So, whoops. Oh, I did the wrong one. I was hoping. Well, y'all, I took myself out of the stream, so it's just my camera right now. But that's okay. So, here's where we are with it. We will pick up maybe this weekend. I say that every weekend and things get so busy. But I'm loving it, y'all. Look, I'm loving it. All right, good friends. I'm going to just move on out of here and chillax a little bit before turning in for the night and see what tomorrow brings. I hope each of you have a blessed weekend, have a magnificent weekend, and just enjoy some rest, some family if possible. And I will see y'all again soon. Okay. Thank you, Janet. Thank you, Chicky. I just love you guys so very much. And I will talk to you all later, okay? Have a great evening. Bye.